Welcome to another edition of Foundation Focus. My name is Jim McKenzie. I'm the Executive Director of the St. Lucie County Education Foundation. Today we're going to talk about the grant process. It's September, so it's grant application time for all of our teachers. With me today is Heather Herbst from St. Lucie West Centennial and Lauren Monroe from Allapattah Flats, who last year were recipients of grants from the Education Foundation. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. I think it's important that we talk a little bit about the grants you received, how you used the money, who was involved, and what the results were. And I guess, Heather, you've mentioned to me that you've had several grants.
Yes.
And maybe you could talk just a little bit about how you found out about the grants and then the process you went through in applying for the grants.
Okay. I first found out about the grants through a reading coach I had several years ago. And she had all of us in the reading department write a grant. And that's how I got a document camera that year that I needed for my classroom. I didn't find the process that daunting. I was afraid to write one, but after I wrote that one, and I was able to write 2 other grants after that.
Now, this past year, your grant revolved around helping students from ESE and ESOL, was it?
I teach intensive reading.
Intensive reading.
A lot of my students are ESE and ESOL students. And it's mostly, I felt bad for some of my students. I've had some who don't speak English or speak English well. And they have a hard time doing the vocabulary. So I really like the computers. I put them on the computers and they look up words on the internet and they're able to do the vocabulary.
So you gave them a modern day way of learning.
Yes.
You know, which is great. I mean,
Yes.
I think that that's one of the things that we look at from a foundation is how do we get to the students and how do we allow them to learn at their pace and make sure that they have the abilities to do so. Now, Lauren, you're a little different story. There were 10 or 12 of you at Allapattah Flats. Tell us a little bit about that process and what you all went through to apply for your grant.
Well, my administration had approached me about the STEM grant because I've been working with the STEM design team for St. Lucie County for about 2 years now. So I was doing a lot of STEM work inside my classroom, and my administration immediately became interested in it and approached me about applying with some other teachers in my school on a STEM-based grant so that we could get some more materials and some more opportunities for the staff to become trained in STEM, which we actually became trained this past spring at a conference in Orlando in STEAM, which is the A stands for the arts, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, incorporating that into the classroom. So we trained some teachers last year on how to become STEAM certified, and we also held our annual STEM night at the school where we invited the students and the parents to come in and get more involved in the STEM activities that are going on inside the classroom.
I was at that STEM night, and I found it very interesting that the kids were working on a lot of different projects, a lot of things that really took some thought, some ideas, some figuring out how to get the process working. So that's a great way, and then that engaged the parents.
Yes, so we're really kind of pushing for more of high order critical thinking from the students and giving them some hands-on activities and some challenges is what we've been trying to do, and that just motivates them even more. They're having fun while they're learning and they're getting into it and working together as teams and learning what it's like to be an engineer and build things that we could be potentially using in the future.
Well, I thought was very interesting when we saw your grant application for Allapattah was that 10 of you, I think it was, gave up your spring break to attend a conference to learn about STEAM and the process of engaging students.
Yes, my administrators had asked one teammate from each group or subject area in our school to kind of work together so that we could bring everything together and collaborate on how are we going to incorporate the science, where's the technology coming from, the engineering, the arts. We even had music, art, science, resource teachers involved with it so that we had math teachers there, so we were getting a little bit of everything and getting opinions from everybody, and it worked pretty nicely having the team together.
So you had a full team by the end of the year that was certified in STEAM, and we're going to get back to the next step here in just a second. But Heather, how did that affect your students? The grant and being able to look at things on the computer and learn from the computer. What kind of advantages did you see that the students actually physically or mentally or academically learned?
I saw them actually want to go over to the computer. I had them do a research project at the end of last year, and that's why I wanted the computers to help them do that. And they were actually able to go on the internet and research on the internet. And I helped them because they don't know anything about Googling anything, and I helped them, showed them how to Google, showed them which search engine to use, what words to use, and they were able to get up videos from live news stories. I think last year it was the invasion of Russia going into Ukraine that we had discussed in class, and we read about it, and they got to see it on their own video that they got to bring up.
So it's not so much learning the vocabulary, but it's also learning current events,
Yes.
and then being able to discuss it and to
write-
research it
And write about it.
and write about it.
Yes.
And that's very important. I mean, that's what all 10th graders need to be able to do in
Yes.
order to pass on to the next grade. And we certainly want to make sure that happens. Any ideas of what are you going to apply for something more this year? You got something in the back of your mind?
I'm thinking about it, yes. I'm not quite sure yet.
Okay. Well, Lauren, I know that we just talked a little bit about what Allapattah Flats has in store. Tell us a little bit about stuff that you're working on and some of your fellow teachers are working on.
Well, last year was really the first year we started the STEAM initiative in our school, and it was just more about getting the staff trained and more knowledgeable and trying it, giving it a trial run inside the classroom. So we had each grade level participate in running what we called our STEAM Design Challenge Days. So what we have planned is for our early release days for the rest of the year to take the entire day to set up a STEAM Design Challenge for the students to work on with their classes throughout the entire day. And these, again, are very hands-on critical thinking projects that the students work on. So last year, the teachers were trained in how to do these lessons inside their classroom. The staff members were trained on how to become STEAM certified. We tested some out in the classrooms and things went great. Our STEM night that we did, like I said earlier, with the parents at the school went by and everybody enjoyed it quite a bit. So this year we're trying to step it up a little bit. How can we incorporate it and do more of this in the classroom? So the next step for us is, I know that myself and a few other teachers from my school as well that I've spoken to are looking forward to applying for some grants to kind of help out with those materials and some more technology that we can use to make sure that we're promoting this even further in our classrooms this year.
So I have some grant applications that we'll get at the 11th hour from Allapattah. And,
I sure hope so.
Okay, great. Well, and I think that's important that you're able to take the ability to have learned as teachers to engage students and now bring back and bring it full circle to the standpoint that you can now engage the students. You've got a plan for projects. So from the foundation standpoint and our partners, we think that that's the great way to go. You know, we invested in you all as a group to take the training, to spend the time, to meet with others from throughout the state, get certified, and then bring that knowledge, that experience back to St. Lucie County, to your school, and then use it, use it firsthand. So I think that's one of the important things. I want to just get back a second because I certainly want to encourage other teachers and instructional personnel to think outside the box when it comes to the grant process. I know, Heather, you just mentioned that you found that individuals thought it was a daunting task, that it was
Time
a
consuming.
lot,
Time consuming.
time consuming. But you have a little bit different opinion of that, and, you know.
I think it took me maybe 2 afternoons of staying late after school, 2 or 3 afternoons maybe at the most. And the only other thing I wasn't sure if I had a question, I actually went to my principal and asked him one question, and he helped me with that. And it really wasn't that hard. You know, after I wrote down and I actually made my own outline and did rough draft and I rewrote it, it didn't take that long.
Same thing the students have to do when they do an essay.
Yes. Yes.
And we have said all along that we hope that the process is not doesn't intrude too much on a teacher's time, because what we really want to do is make sure that they're spending as much time with the students. But I think we obviously need to know what the objective is, what the goal is, and then how do we define those results? I mean, those things are important. I think, Lauren, you were the writer for last year's grant. Is that correct?
Well, I had help last year,
Yeah.
so in seeing how easy it was last year, I was kind of shocked by, we applied for this grant, we submitted it, and all of a sudden, congratulations, here's your grant. So it came through pretty quickly, and because of that, I know that not just myself, but the rest of the team who helped with the grant last year, we've been promoting it in our schools because it is so easy that we want more teachers getting involved in it. Last year was a school-wide grant for Allapattah Flats, and this year I'm going to approach it and try and get a classroom grant so that I can, like I said, keep pushing forward with the STEAM activities that I'm doing in my own classroom, and do a little bit more with the students this year now that I'm a little better trained.
A little more versed on the subject.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And certainly, while we and the district still say it's STEAM or STEM, we certainly have a great deal of respect and interest in helping to provide for the arts. And at some point we'll get to STEAM. It's in the back of our vocabulary. We just want to keep moving that needle forward. One of the things, and Lauren, I just want to get back to you for a second. How is what you're doing in the classroom? What's the end result? Is it the regional science fairs? Is it then getting the students involved in the statewide fairs and local fairs? Is that what you're seeing as the next step?
Yeah, so you have students participate in the science fair every year at the district level, and we've also had students compete in science Olympics outside of school as well. We're trying to provide more field trips that have to do with STEAM, is getting them outside of the classroom, getting some more field work. So that's also another thing that I've looked at, trying to raise some more money through grants, is getting them out in the field. But really just seeing the amount of learning that's going on and having students come up to me in the hallways and say, when's our next STEAM day going to be? Or when do we get to do another design challenge? And just seeing that they are learning from these and they don't even know it. They just think that they're having fun. So the more that they get exposed to it, like you said, the more opportunities they're going to have as they go into middle school and up into the high school level, because now they have that background and experience at a young age. We're starting kindergarten with it.
Now, you also received an AT&T grant, which kind of also helped in this process, and you had to work with a number of partners. And how did that tie in? How did the partnerships that you made, and have you been able to build on those partnerships? I
haven't built yet on them. That's another one that I'm looking into right now. The partnerships just makes it easier. You have somebody backing you and supporting you, and the financial support is beyond words, because as we all know as teachers and even parents, it's not easy to gather the materials and the technology and keep up with all the changes that are out there today. So the support that we have has been great.
Heather, just to get back to you, what's next on the horizon at St. Lucie Centennial?
Okay. I have approached my assistant principal, and I told him I would be willing to help other teachers write grants.
And I think that's important. These two ladies are two folks that you could call on. We have a number of individuals within the district. We did, I'm going to say it was 45 or 47 grants last year to individuals and to schools. So there's a lot of experience in applying for the grants. The evaluation part, which is important to me and to the partners. How did you go about your, thinking about how you could evaluate your process? What were the results, and how do you think that really affected the kids?
What I did was I looked to see what they really wanted to do on the computer. I told them they were to look for, last year it was to look at videos that had to do with, or research that had to do with something we did in class. And I had to make sure that that's what they were on task doing. That was one part of my evaluation, my evaluating of the students. I also checked into their test scores, to see how well I've worked. I'm a reading teacher, but I worked a lot with their writing. I was hoping that both ways, that they would read it and that also they would write something down about it and be able to produce a final piece for me that would be a paper, at least a 1 or 2 page paper that they wrote, something that they learned about, that they researched.
And you were relatively pleased with the
Yes.
results of that? You saw improvement from the beginning of the year to
Yes.
the end of the year?
Yes, I did.
I think those are things are important. The evaluation side on your side, Lauren, was really what the teachers are able. It's a work in progress, I guess.
Yeah, like I said, the first step was really getting those teachers trained, and I helped. I participated in a training for my entire staff on how exactly am I going to run a design challenge inside my classroom for my students. And I also presented at the seminar this past summer, where teachers from across the district came and met together, and we went over some different strategies that these students and teachers could be using inside their classroom on a district level. So the things that I learned from the grant that was given to us in the conferencing and the collaborating with other teachers is something that I've been trying to pass along. And even the beginning of this year, we've picked up some new things, and now it's really about getting into that next phase and what do we get into the students now. So I'm looking forward to that, because that's obviously going to be my favorite part. So.
Yeah, well, and as I mentioned to you earlier, there's a new grant request out that I just sent out this morning, a matter of fact, that has to do with the STEM and increasing involvement and making sure that you have a partner, and those partners are working with you through the Motorola Corporation. So we've got, again, this year we have the AT&T partnership grants, we have the Motorola, and then as most everyone knows, we have been a partner with FP&L and their grants for a number of years, and they provide just an awful lot of interest in making sure that students understand that it's not just electricity, but all the components that go into creating electricity, and I think. From your STEM side, Lauren, you talk a little bit about it's not just creating a project, but it's the math, it's the science, it's the scheduling, it's creating the outline, it's then producing something, and that really does get students involved. Heather, I know that you work with a very specific group of students, but how do you see them changing, or how do you see the needs that we need to look at? Help me when I'm looking at grants, that what really helps student advancement?
For my students, it's one thing is hands-on. Whatever I can do with them that's hands-on. As soon as I get a book out, I hear the groans. They don't want to do that. So I have to find activities for them that are more hands-on. A lot of things I do involve vocabulary and just matching words up to the meanings. And I try to make, that's why I also like the computer. I had one student today go on a computer because he couldn't understand. Actually, I told him, you can look it up in the dictionary, or, he said, well, can I use that computer? I said, of course you can. And he went over and he knew how to go onto Google, and he liked that. So it was, for him it was easy, because he was another speaker of another language, and he was able to come up with other word forms that I was looking for, and meanings of the words that in context what we were looking for in the book.
So what's important is Lauren's projects are geared towards mostly the elementary schools, and you're working with the high school students who may have not had all of those engaging activities. And does that work for you in seeing how, does that give you some hope that you may not have as many students?
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think it's important that we engage students as early as we can. I had a friend that tell me that public school education is like a football game. By the time a student gets to 9 years old, they're already at halftime. And so we've really got to work on, you don't win a football game with a halftime speech. you win a football game by planning, which Lauren, your group has done. Heather, again, the planning piece that goes into making sure that you have found a way to engage students at even the high school age and get them prepared for the future. I mean, the end run, the end is the end zone, and the end zone is not necessarily a 4-year degree, but it's giving the student an opportunity to have a career, to get into some kind of technical school, and most importantly, to be good citizens for our community. Any last-minute words for other teachers out there that you'd like to impart on them as we kind of get to the end here, Lauren?
I would just say to reach out. It's out there. You just have to. I know that myself, I was lucky enough to be approached about it last year, but get out there, ask around, talk to your administrators, talk to your staff members, see if somebody wants to help you out with it. It's right there at your fingertips for you, so there's no reason not to get involved and give it a go and see what you can get out of it, because it's very rewarding.
Yeah, just call the foundation office or send me an email. We'll be more than happy to set you on the right direction. I know that I've been working with one of the teachers at Savannah Ridge since last year. She missed the deadline by a couple of weeks, and she has this great idea. And, we've been conversing all summer so that she can make sure that she does it spot on right. But we understand that you're not grant writers, and we understand that your ability is to take what we can help you with and translate that and engage the students. Heather, your thoughts? I mean, you're a 3-time grant recipient.
Yes, and I would just say try it. Ask somebody for help. It's not that hard. All you have to do is write something, like you said, plan it out, and ask somebody for help. It's not that hard. It's not daunting at all. It's not scary.
Yeah. And we have a lot of the statistics that you might need. I know class size and ethnicity and those other things are part of the grant process, but we have those things in a ready to release portfolio for you. So, ladies, thank you so very much for coming in today, and thank you for everything that you do for the students of St. Lucie County. It's important to know that ladies like you and teachers within our district are willing to go the extra mile to engage our students and to make sure that they are successful in their own way. So thank you both very much for coming in.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just to summarize, I want to be sure that everyone knows that the grant process is currently open. You can reach the Education Foundation's website, go to apply for grants, click on that, and the grant process will close on September 30th. So that's a firm date. We want to have a couple of weeks to ensure that we have a chance to look at the grants and make sure that they have good, solid foundations and that they are working well for our students. We have a committee that will be starting to look on them on October 1st. We already have our first date for our meeting. So if you have an idea, if you have a thought, if you have a concept, imagining something that can help a student or students within your classroom or your school, I just apply for the grant, let us take a look at it, and make sure that see if we can help you in making sure that that student does achieve. Wanted to also talk with you just a moment about a campaign that the Education Foundation and our school district has put together in order to support our teachers in the classroom and make sure that schools have the funding to make their school improvement plans, whether that be engaging parents, supporting teachers, improving classroom activities, or making sure that students have every opportunity. And that is the Coupons for Classroom book. We'll be starting to sell those books through the schools, through parent-teacher organizations, through administrators, teachers, in order to make sure that funding is available for a lot of projects that go on or need to go on and that are not funded by tax dollars. The coupon book is engaging. It's 64 pages of coupons. Those coupons range from Winn-Dixie, Fresh Market, many of the local merchants within St. Lucie County, and a lot of national coupons that have to do with Bed Bath & Beyond, Sam's, Sonic, Arby's, Cowboys, resorts, local downtown Fort Pierce and Port St. Lucie merchants. The books are $20, and the funding, the profit from those funds stay within the school or the foundation, and helps us to support things like the grant process that we just talked about with Lauren and Heather. It's important that we make sure that from a foundation standpoint that every student has an opportunity to reach a goal, and by doing that, making sure that teachers have an opportunity to bring the tools they need in order to help make sure that our students have every opportunity to succeed. So the Coupons for Classroom campaign kicks off on September 10th. It ends on September 30th. Books, again, will be available at each one of the schools through your student or through student, grandson, niece, nephew. We encourage you to purchase the books through the school. We'll sell the books after that in October to the general community. But it's important that the schools receive, the schools will actually receive 2/3 of the funding of the profits from the book. So we think it's an opportunity to really for the community to get out and support our schools, our students, our teachers, and hope that you will purchase a book, use the coupons, become familiar with the merchants. 85% of them are St. Lucie County merchants. So we want to make sure that we're able to help the economy and make this community better for all. Again, thanks for joining us on Foundation Focus, and we look forward to seeing you again next month.